So I'm State Representative Paul Thissen, and I am here with Senator Ron Latz today to talk about net neutrality and the decision that the FCC recently made on that issue and steps we think we can take here in Minnesota to counteract the FCC decision. The internet is an essential part of our prosperous economy, an essential part of a healthy democracy. And we need the internet to be a space where people have free speech as individuals and as content providers. And we should not allow the gatekeepers of the internet, this critical infrastructure, the internet service providers they're called, to block people based on their content, or to block people based on the fact that they can't pay as much as other people might be able to pay. I think that that is absolutely the wrong direction to go, and that is what this net neutrality debate is all about. It's making sure that our internet is not auctioned off to the highest bidder, and that all people in this country and all content providers have the ability to get their voices heard and their information out to the people that want it. So the FCC last week, the Federal Communications Commission, made a decision that rolled back an earlier decision that set in place net neutrality rules that would keep the internet free and open. And they did that, like many things that are going on in this country today, in our politics and our economy, on behalf of very big special interests. There's really 4 companies in this country that dominate most of the internet service provision to almost every consumer. And we think with the FCC and the federal government taking that action, it's really important that the states step up and protect our residents to make sure that net neutrality is in place and that their data, our residents' data, is actually kept private. Because another point that was made in this order was to try to preempt the ability of states, to try to take away the power of states to protect their own residents. Last year, Ron and I, as you may know, had some legislation dealing with data privacy that got incredible support, almost unanimous support in the legislature, and yet was blocked at the last minute by special interests from becoming law. And we're going to be returning to that next year. But as part of that, we also think it's important that we expand that legislation to make sure that internet service providers that do business here in the state of Minnesota actually comply with some basic common sense net neutrality rules. And we have the power to do that. We're the ones who give, the state of Minnesota and local governments are the ones who give internet service providers the easements, the pole attachment agreements, the rights of way to be able to do business here. And there's absolutely no reason that we should not make sure that when we grant those awards to those companies, that we don't ask something in return. And one of those things we should ask in return is that they comply with common sense net neutrality principles. We are also, as a state, a big buyer of internet service provider services. And we should use that leverage as a consumer in all of our state agencies and hopefully in all of our local governments to make sure that we are demanding that the folks that we're buying those services from comply with these common sense net neutrality rules. And finally, it is time that we review all of our consumer fraud, consumer protection rules to make sure that rules against fraud and discrimination and anti-competitive behavior apply with force to the folks that are now the gatekeepers of this very important infrastructure, the internet, for the people of Minnesota. So our legislation that we will roll out when the next session comes is going to address each of those points. We think it's time again for the state of Minnesota to step up, to protect our residents, to protect their data privacy, and to protect their freedom of speech and their ability to get all of the information they want without having someone at a big corporation in another state making a decision about what they think it is best for our residents to hear. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Latz.
Thank you, Paul, and it's good to work with you again on this issue. It's been a long fight already, and I think it's going to be another a long fight this coming legislative session. We had an opportunity last spring to take very modest but important steps to protect the privacy of information that our constituents, that residents in Minnesota, that our citizens, that our businesses have when they access the internet for a whole variety of reasons. For entertainment, for social networking, for business communications, for data gathering and research, to consume news and information that make them informed citizens and informed deciders of who to vote for as well as what issues to advocate for or against. We did not take that step because, as Paul indicated, the special interests were able to convince the decision makers in the room on the final conference committee reports to drop an immensely popular provision from the final package. I'm committed to not letting that happen again. But we'll have a choice to make this spring. And the choice is going to be between the interests of our constituents, of our consumers, of our residents, of our small businesses, and of the large businesses that depend upon fair and equal access to the internet and the information and the services that it involves. And those private corporate interests who owe a fiduciary duty to no one except their shareholders, the bottom dollar, their job and their goal, their reason for existence is to make money, and not to look out for anyone else's interests. And our job as policymakers is to step in when that profit motive may conflict with the interests of consumers and to weigh in on behalf of consumers, at least to have a level playing field and one which will protect the consumer's interests. That's what we will need to do this spring. And I think when you start merging the issues of net neutrality and information privacy, you're going to find a lot of folks are going to decide they're going to have to get on board with this. I think there's going to be an immense groundswell of grassroots. You saw the grassroots support that was out there for the internet privacy efforts that we undertook last session. I think this will be no different. I think we're going to have a very strong grassroots effort. I think the steps that Minnesota takes are going to be joined by efforts we know in the state of Washington and by other states around the country as those state governments hear from their residents and their constituents, their voters, remembering that 2018 is an election year too. And our entire House will be up for re-election. We have constitutional officers will be up for re-election, and you'll see the same thing around the country. This is going to be a big issue in the coming year. And I think that we are on the right side of history on this one, and the right side of the people that we represent. My greatest fear is that companies that are looking at providing internet services in a community are going to be able to merge the information about our private access, what sites we go to, what products we purchase, what news sites we look to, where we engage in social media, and in some cases being able to know what we say on social media. They're going to take that information and they are going to customize, personalize the packages that they want to sell us for streaming on the internet. And we will end up having dynamic pricing on a personalized level, which will charge each individual consumer more for the stuff that they like to see and they like to do on the internet. And the package will be different than their neighbors next door because they'll have different preferences. They will maximize their profit by targeting the individual consumer preferences. It's going to look like cable, where you have to pay for the one station that you really want to get and all the 100 other stations that you really never use. Except this is going to be on steroids compared to what we see in cable now. If we don't take steps like this, we're all going to be worse off and poorer as a result.
Questions if you have them.
So am I understanding this right, that you're saying that if companies come to you to renew permits or to put in new line, you feel like there should be conditions on that? And how would this address those companies that already have existing infrastructure here?
Well, all of those companies are going to be coming to local governments and to the state of Minnesota for those provisions, and we can make sure that when they come in one community that it's going to apply to the rest of the state as well. So we will be able to hold them to that level of service, even if it's for a very specific poll, because we can say, you're going to make sure that you'll comply with these net neutrality principles, these data privacy principles for every Minnesota resident.
Are there jurisdictional questions here, given that the federal government has already kind of set its course here?
Well, the federal government is trying to preempt the states from take away the power of the states from doing anything around data privacy and anything that limits these companies and their ability to make money. What we're saying is that even if the federal government is going down that course as a matter of telecommunications law, they are still going to be coming to us and wanting the state of Minnesota to give them things, which is the right to do business here, the right to get their easements, the right to get permits. And when they come to us to get those awards and grants, we have every right to say, we will give you that grant, but we are going to condition it on making sure that you're protecting Minnesota residents and Minnesota consumers' rights.
Without some of these changes in place, how soon would bill payers start to see differences on their bills, for example, for internet services?
Well, I will just give you one example. So when the FCC commissioner last April announced that they were going to do rulemaking, just announced the idea that they would do rulemaking to change, to reverse the net neutrality rules, the next day on Comcast's website, a number of principles that they had pledged as voluntary agreement about net neutrality disappeared. So they will be acting as quickly as they possibly can, I have no doubt. Their behavior has already shown that's the case.
And there are other companies that have promised that you will never see differential pricing. And that may be very fine for now. And in 6 months or a year, as people's contracts get renewed, there will be incentives in there. There might be differential pricing options that are in there. It will be incremental changes at some point for some companies. But eventually, I think it will creep back into the entire internet. It was coming back when the FCC first decided to move with net neutrality rules. It was already happening at that point. So it wasn't like the FCC 8 years ago, or however many years ago it was, decided, we may have some problem in the future. We're going to pass net neutrality regulations. They saw what was already starting to happen, and they said, we're going to nip this in the bud and stop it. I have no doubt that once the ISPs figure out they can make more money by differentially pricing and individually pricing packages, that they're going to find a way to do it. And I think if it happens incrementally, people are just going to begin to think, okay, well, that's just the way it is. It's kind of like boiling a frog, right? If you drop a frog into boiling water, they'll jump right out. But if you put them in cool water and you slowly turn up the temperature, they'll boil to death before they realize they'll never understand what's really happening. I'm afraid that's what's going to happen here too. The other thing is I think states across the country are going to take the kind of steps that we're taking. It's going to be a grassroots movement. Ultimately, that's going to force Congress to take some action. In the end, I think Congress is going to have to take some steps to dial this back.
Representative Thissen, another topic, you've been fairly involved in a lot of these health issues in the legislature. The announcement today that Commissioner Ellinger has resigned, did he make the right decision? Do you know anything more about why he's moving on?
I don't know the background on it. Commissioner Ellinger has done some amazing work for the state of Minnesota, and really we are a leader on public health, and we need to continue to do that. But the story on the Star Tribune this last weekend about the licensing and enforcement part of the nursing home and assisted living area was deeply troubling, and does not live up to the best standards of what our state government and what the people of Minnesota should expect from us. And from that perspective, I think maybe getting a new set of eyes is the right thing. So I think Commissioner Ellinger is doing the right thing for the people of Minnesota. He's done amazing work, and I think he should really be commended for that. But we cannot stand for the kind of behavior, at least that was described in the Star Tribune story last week. We really owe our seniors and their families more than that. And I will tell you, last spring, a group of folks, the Elder Voices folks, came in and spoke with Scott Dibble, Senator Dibble, and I. As a result of those conversations, we pushed our colleagues in the legislature to get the Office of Legislative Auditor to study this exact issue, and they will be coming back with a report in the next month or two. And I think that there'll be some good recommendations in there about how we can proceed forward to make sure that this never happens again. All right. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.